The early morning air feels alive, carrying a sense of possibility. The sun hasn't yet reached its fiercest blaze, and at 68 degrees, this brief window of comfort is a gift. But soon, the day will surge to a scorching 103 degrees. That's why I'm out here now, at 6:45 a.m. ready to transform, clean, and revive the garden before the heat sets in. Today is all about turning tired, struggling plants into something vibrant and full of life. I want to swap out annual containers that look weary, refresh the raised beds, and give our perennials the cutback they need to thrive again. These projects might sound simple, but to me, they're about creating a sanctuary that feels alive and abundant. The first task waiting for me is right in front of the Hartley greenhouse, where 2 containers have been testing my patience. I tried coaxing these annuals, superbells and daisies, through the intense summer heat, but the battle is exhausting. Superbells, in particular, need the soil to dry out between waterings, yet the blazing afternoons here demand constantly moist soil just to keep plants alive. It's a frustrating balancing act, and despite my best efforts, the foliage has turned yellow, and the plants are visibly stressed. Instead of continuing the fight, I'm making a bold move. These containers are about to get a stunning upgrade, Silver Fox Mangaves. Their striking structure and resilience will instantly breathe life into this space, and I can already envision how perfect they'll look here. As I prepare to swap them in, I can't help but admire how the Hartley greenhouse has evolved. To protect my plants from the relentless sun, I added curtains to the west side. It's a simple, temporary solution, but it has worked wonders. Now, the plants inside are less stressed, and everything feels calmer, more controlled. Even Russell, my loyal companion, seems to sense the shift as he comes over for his morning pets, his tail wagging happily. Beyond the Hartley, I take a moment to soak in the beauty of our low urns planted with Silver River Delta, Wire Ravine, Japanese Maple, and Chocolate Drop Coleus. Every combination tells a story of experimentation and growth. The unplugged blue salvia, planted near the dahlias, has flourished beyond my expectations. When I first put in just 5 salvias, I worried they might look sparse, but now I realize they're the perfect complement to the fiery reds and oranges around them. Sometimes stretching your usual color palette, like trying shades of red I normally avoid, pays off in ways that feel like magic. The Silver Fox Mangaves, though, are today's stars. They aren't hardy enough to survive outdoors through winter, but planting them in urns means I can easily move them indoors when the seasons change. These beauties love the sun and thrive in extreme temperatures, making them the perfect fit for this intense climate. As I dig in, swapping out the annuals for these bold, architectural plants, I can already feel the relief of knowing I won't have to nurse them along for the rest of the season. They're tough, adaptable, and effortlessly stunning. Of course, no project is without its little hiccups. One container proves difficult to clear out, but the satisfaction of seeing the mangaves settle into their new home outweighs any challenge. Their structure alone is mesmerizing, sharp, modern lines softened by the possibility of adding trailing sedum later. I don't have sedum on hand today, but I can already picture how it will drape over the edges, creating the perfect mix of textures and colors. For now, just seeing healthy, thriving plants in place is a victory worth celebrating. With the containers refreshed, I turn my attention to the raised bed garden. There's a lot to do here, cleaning out old plants, pulling weeds, and prepping the soil for new seeds. The bachelor's buttons, though still vibrant in color, have grown wild and unruly. They've dropped enough seeds to ensure next year's blooms, so I pull them out without hesitation, knowing they'll return stronger. My last cabbage has already been harvested, and the garlic was pulled earlier this week, so the space feels open and full of potential. As I walk through the garden, I take stock of everything thriving here. Our Kentucky Wonder Pole beans, the lush herb garden from seed, the stately rosemary and sage, and even the foxglove grown from seed, all of it brings me immense pride. I pause at the self-seeded dill, its feathery fronds swaying in the breeze, and smile at how nature rewards even the smallest efforts. Then, as I fertilize the blueberries, I notice something troubling: the drip system isn't working as it should. The soil is too dry, and some plants are starting to crisp at the edges. It's a stark reminder that even the best systems need vigilance. I quickly swap out clogged tubing, watching as the life-giving water flows freely again. It's a small fix, but one that could make the difference between thriving plants and disappointment, especially with the relentless heat on the way. Once the drip issue is resolved, I get to the fun part, planting new crops. I decide to experiment with a fall crop of broccoli, even though the heat isn't ideal for germination. The kids love broccoli, and I figure it's worth the risk. Alongside the broccoli, I plant 2 varieties of melons, Sweet Delight Honeydew and Tuscany Cantaloupe, hoping for a late-season harvest. The thought of biting into a sun-warmed melon in September feels like a reward worth working for. With the beds refreshed, fertilized, and planted, I take a moment to breathe. The area looks clean, alive, and full of promise. I decide to leave one small bed open, saving space for a fall crop of spinach once the searing heat begins to fade. It's all about timing and patience, and that's what gardening teaches me more than anything, how to trust the process. There's one last area on my list, the south garden. The sun is now in full force, but this section needs attention. The hardy geraniums have grown far too large, overshadowing everything around them. When I transplanted them here from the shaded north garden, I didn't anticipate how they'd respond to full sun. Now, they're taller than the hydrangeas, crowding out the iris and creating a chaotic look. Before wrapping up, I take one last look at everything we've done today. The gator trailer is full of clippings, the weeds are gone, and the soil smells rich and alive. My hands are dirty, my back aches, but my heart is full. This morning wasn't just about maintenance, it was about creating beauty, protecting what's thriving, and letting go of what no longer works. It's about shaping a space that feels alive and welcoming, not just for me but for every creature that calls this garden home. As I step back, I'm filled with gratitude. For the early mornings that let me beat the heat, for the lessons the garden teaches me, and for the joy of watching something grow from nothing. This space, with its mix of order and wildness, is a reflection of life itself, messy, unpredictable, but so incredibly rewarding. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. I hope you found inspiration here, whether it's in the small victories like unclogging a drip line or the big transformations like swapping tired annuals for bold, thriving mangaves. Until next time, keep tending to your own little patch of the world. There's magic in every seed, every bloom, and every moment you spend making your world a little more beautiful.